This part begins. And because of the pill that the concubine has given to the king is in a lot of trouble and he is not able to breathe properly. And when all the ministers see this, they are all very shocked. And they are not able to understand what is going on with His Majesty all of a sudden. Then the prince quickly goes to the king and tells all the soldiers, she actually dared to give poison to His Majesty. Hurry up and take her down, this demon concubine. But then the king tells them all to stop. Then the king tells the concubine, concubine, come here. And the concubine goes to the king, and the king moves his hand forward and holds the concubine's hand. And the concubine says to the king, Your Majesty, is the pill's effect great? And the king is safe. Then the king says to all of them, after taking this feeling, I'm feeling very refreshed and much more energetic than I never felt like this before. And all the ministers bow down in front of the king. And they say, Congratulations to the Majesty. And the prince is thinking, in this way, Su Xian is getting more and more powerful. And the king says, It's all thanks to my dear concubine's effort. Concubine Ifei, tell me, what reward do you want? And the concubine says to the king, Your Majesty, I wouldn't dare to criticize you. It's just that I have a piece of advice. Recently, I have been praying for days and nights for Qin State, watching Ziwei fall to the north. It must be the guidance of the Ziwei Emperor that our Qin State will become a prosperous country. Your Majesty should send General Cui to lead the army to attack on Wei State. Take this auspicious sign. Our Qin army will surely conquer the state of Wei like a broken bamboo. And with this, the Qin State will definitely rise above the world. And after listening to the concubine, the prince shouts and says, What nonsense are you talking about? Brother Huang, the army needs a lot of pay when going to the war. But these recent years, the Qin State is facing lots of trouble and there's not enough money and food in the Qin State, coupled with the huge cost of building the harem. The treasury has long been empty. Under such internal worries, the soldiers had to go to war hungry. If the hearts of the people and the army are lost, even the foundation of Qin will be crumbling. It is absolutely impossible to send the army. But the concubine says, this concubine only follows the instructions of Emperor Ziwei. Mr. N has doubts in every possible way. My lords, why don't you say something? Do you also question the oracle? Or do you want to, slandering concubines? One gossip confuses the crowd. And after listening to the concubine, all the ministers bow down in front of the concubine. And they say, We dare not have any questions. Then the king says to the concubine, Ahaha, this matter is up to the concubine to decide. And the concubine says, Your Majesty is wise. And the prince is saying to the king, Your Majesty, no. But the king shouts and says to the prince, Princein, this matter already has been decided. Tomorrow, send an order to General Cui to invade Wei State immediately. I know that Mr. N is just worried about the country and the people. And after listening to the king, the prince does not say anything, he just keeps staring at the concubine. Then the concubine says to the prince, Just for the sincerity of Mr. N, I have also prepared a gift for you. Well, I actually have 2 divine pills. Oh, right, Mr. N doesn't know, but Wang Yin made a contribution to making this pill, and the concubine starts giving the divine pill to the prince, and the prince is saying to the concubine, what do you mean? And the concubine says to the prince, Mr. N, please accept it with a smile. But the prince is thinking, what is the secret behind this pill? After this the scene shifts, and we see another place. And Jiang Ju is lying comfortably in the grass, and his cat is sleeping on his lap, and Jiang Ju is saying, It's so comfortable to lie down without any worry. But then Jiang Ju smells a fragrant, and he is saying, What's with this smell? So fragrant? And the cat also smells that fragrant. And she sits on Jiang Ju and says to Jiang Ju, Blood of the evil spirit. And Jiang Ju also gets up after listening to the cat. And he is saying, Isn't this the medicinal fragrance? Little tiger, why did you say it was blood spirit? And the cat goes ahead and says, Just see with your own eyes. That lady is coming over here. And then Prince comes running there, seeing which Jiang Ju is a little surprised, and Jiang Ju asks Prince, Why are you in a hurry? So the prince says, It's urgent. This pill was given to me by the concubine. Could you please check and see if there's something wrong in it or not? And as soon as Jiang Ju sees that soul, he gets very shocked. And seeing Jiang Ju so shocked, the prince said to Jiang Ju, "She was also saying that this pill is only related to me. Did you see anything?" So Jiang Ju says to the prince, "Young master, see for yourself." And we see that an evil aura is coming out of that pill, which is calling the prince towards itself. And it is asking the prince to help him. And seeing this, the prince gets very scared, and then Jiang Ju uses his power and destroys that evil aura. And then Jiang Ju goes to the prince and says to him, "Those just now were the phantoms of dead souls trapped in this pill. Young master, don't be afraid, you weren't the one who hurt those people. Ordinary people who take this pill can ventilate qi and blood, increase lifespan, and be free from disease and disaster from then on. It's just that refining this kind of pill needs to sacrifice living people. The 7 souls and 6 souls are transformed into pill furnaces, and the internal organs and 6 internal organs are turned into medicine dregs. It's really hard to endure." And the prince nervously tells Jiang Ju, I know them." And Jiang Ju gets surprised and he tells the prince, "You know them, young master?" Then the prince cryingly tells Jiang Ju, "There were many faces from those souls that were the subordinates of mine. Everyone was very loyal to me, and many of them were the ones who I was saved from the disaster. Sorry for not have the ability to protect you." Jiang Ju takes a deep breath after listening to the prince. Then he says to the prince, "Silly girl, your tears can't alone save your people. Think about it again. Without you, a female prince in the Qin state who chooses talents and appoints talents, and calms the people and helps things, what will happen?" And on hearing Jiang Ju's words, the prince stops crying. Then he thinks about his people, how good they are. And they always care for him. And they all are very happy. And the prince has decided that now he will fight till his death. Next day, in the courtyard of Jiang Ju, we see that the prince is blushing and Jiang Ju is saying to the prince, "Hey, isn't that young master? What is she doing inside my courtyard standing there? Young master, are you waiting for someone else here?" And the prince says to Jiang Ju, "Please take this." So Jiang Ju is surprised and he says, "This new cloth for me?" So the prince says, "It's just that when I saw you back last time, your clothes seemed torn. So I asked the sewers to make one." And Jiang Ju says, "Oh, well, thank you very much, you're going to the palace, aren't you?" So the prince says, "How did the Mr. Jiang knows that I'm going to the palace?" But Jiang Ju says, "But are you really sure about this?" And the prince says, "I'm not sure. But I'm willing to fight for the common people of the Qin state." And after listening to the prince, Jiang Ju says, "Understood. I won't say anything more, but before parting, I still have one thing to tell you. If the young master encounters an unsolvable situation, he can silently recite in his heart Xianxia Taishu Jinjuan. You must remember this. If it's your fate, well, all the best." After this we see a scene from the past, where the prince's father is calling the prince to him. And the prince's brother is bowing in front of his father, and the prince's father is saying, "I'm going to test you." And the prince's brother is very surprised to hear his father's words. And his father is saying to him, "You are the prince of Qin state and in future you'll also become the king, so, it is natural to test you on how you govern this country, I ask you. This year, there is a drought in the south, and the people are in exile. What should you do?" So the prince nervously says, "Drought in the south, the people went into exile. I think." But the prince is not able to speak properly, due to which his father is getting very angry with him. But then the second prince comes to that place. And he says to his father, "When there were thin taxes, wide accumulation, the government also made sure that there was a good storehouse to prepare for drought and floods, send ambassadors to inspect the province and listen to the people in abundance. Thin taxes, wide accumulation. The government also made sure that there was a good storehouse to prepare for drought and floods, send ambassadors to inspect the province, and listen to the people in abundance." And after listening to the words of the second prince, his father becomes very happy, and laughingly says to the second prince, "Saki is really smart. Hey! Unfortunately, you aren't a boy." Then the prince's father shouts at the prince and says, "As for you, don't even have the ability to govern the country." And remembering all these things of his past, the prince, who has now become the king, wakes up from his bed in panic. And there is a servant in front of him, and he says to the servant, how did I fall asleep here? I didn't miss Aifei's dance, right? So the servant says to the king, Don't worry, your majesty, the dance hasn't started yet. But the servant has something important to report. The front line was losing ground, and with shortages of food and pay, generals were defecting one after another. General Cui couldn't hold it anymore, and hearing this, king gets a little surprised and he says, General, the soldiers defected. How could it be? And now the concubine gets angry, due to which she slaps the servant, and says to him, Bastard, talking nonsense here. Hey, let this fucking servant out, and cut him into pieces, then throw him into river. And seeing the concubine's anger, the servant starts apologizing to the concubine. Then the king comes in front of the concubine, and the concubine, holding the king's hand, says, My lord, don't stand there, let's go, the dance show is getting started. The dancers this time are all stunning realities. Then the servant says, Your Majesty, Prince Saki and Lord Li Xianfeng broke into the harem. I couldn't stop them. They also. And the king says, They're still how? So the servant says, Your Majesty, please see for yourself. They are already here. And we see that the prince has come here to meet the king with some of his friends. And he greets the king by bowing in front of him. And the king is saying to those people, Well, you guys all wear mourning clothes. Are you guys want to curse people to death, don't you? And the prince says to the king, I wear hemp for the people of Qin who died in vain. I'm mourning the upcoming crisis in my country. And the king says, Oh, I would like to hear about it. Why is our country about to perish? Do you have any proof or not? You can't blame Aifei without any proof. And after listening to the king, the prince says to the king, Proof? Brother Huang doesn't know the situation about battle on the front line. It is still not too late for your brother to correct your mistakes. If your brother continues to take her side, we will be. And the king gets very shocked after hearing the prince's words, and they further say to the king, If you don't get rid of the demon princess, I resign and return to my hometown. We will not engage in politics. And the king is saying to those people, How unreasonable! How unreasonable! You are. You're forcing me. And then the concubine says, Majesty, every person has a high position, but you want to use your power to force the king to comply, to bully me, a weak woman. But, please resign and return home. I don't think so. I also have something to tell His Majesty. This is the rebellion letter between King An and Taifu Lin Xianfeng. And on hearing the concubine's words, the prince starts getting angry. And the prince is saying to the concubine, Don't talk nonsense. Mr. Lin and I are loyal to Qin state. But the concubine says, Dado. That's right, I still have proof. Hey! Bring Dao's Cui here. And on hearing this, prince's eyes fill with tears. And the prince is saying, You and I are master and servant, but teacher and friend, and I've always regarded you as my confidant. Why are you doing this? And we see another man, who is saying, His Royal Highness, it's hard to be loyal and righteous. And the king is saying, Qin Saki, tell me, what's this all about? And the prince says to the king, Brother Huang, if I say I was framed by the demon concubine, would you believe it? Then, put the king into the custody of the Dali temple, and wait to be sentenced. And then an elder says, Qin Wujuan, how could the late emperor give you the throne? But then the concubine shouts, Shut up! Hurry up and arrest this old thing. And the soldiers together capture that elder, and the elder is saying, I've been the elder of the Qin state for more than 30 years, how dare you treat me like this? You'll lose the hearts and minds of the people and the army, and the Qin Empire will fall at your hands. And we see that the king is unable to say anything, and the prince and the elders are staring at the king. But then the prince shouts at the king and says, Brother Huang, you don't know how to govern the country. And what the prince has just said was earlier said by the king's father, and on hearing this the king says, That's all. I'm going to rest, I'll let Aifei handle this matter. And the king starts leaving from this place. But the prince tries to stop the king and says, Brother Huang, wait, you can't leave like this. Brother Huang. But then we see that the soldiers together stop the prince from going ahead, and the concubine is saying, "Sigh, Majesty, how can you leave such an important matter to such a weak woman? Then let's see, what can I do about it?" And the concubine starts laughing out loud like a crazy person. And then the elder comes in front of the prince and he says, "This bitch is really outrageous. If you dare to talk Prince Saki today, I'll fight you all." But then a spear enters the elder's stomach, due to which the elder is killed. And the concubine comes in front of the prince. Then she says, "Princeton, are you satisfied with my gift?" And we see that the prince is crying, and he is not able to understand what he should do now. Then we are told, that night, thousands of palace guards broke into Prince N's mansion. Every person howled and begged for mercy, but they didn't listen and burned them all. Then we see two servants, who are outside Jiang Jue's room, knocking on Jiang Jue's door. They are saying, "Mr. Jiang, are you inside? My lady invites you to meet." When Jiang Ju does not respond, the second servant says, "Just go directly." And when both servants go inside Jiang Jue's room, they see that Jiang Ju is not there. And they are saying, "He's not here, did he run away? Let's go and report this to the Empress." When the boss was in trouble, he ran away. What kind of devil is he looking for? This Jiang is nothing more than that. And we see that the news has spread all over the city. And everyone is talking. "Have you heard? That Princeton is going to be beheaded at noon today. This isn't possible. Majesty is not stupid. It's that guy blind. Let's go over there and see." And then the citizens come out of the gate and ask the soldier, "What happened? Are these rumors really true?" But the soldier says, "Go away. Go away. Don't stand in the way." But then the gate opens and a prisoner comes out from inside. And it is none other than Prince, who is tied in shackles, and a lot of blood is coming out from his feet, and as he is going, his blood-soaked footprints are being formed. After this the scene shifts, and we see Jiang Ju. And with him is a tiger, which was earlier a cat. And now it has transformed into a tiger. And Jiang Ju is saying, "Can you really be able to judge your destiny against the sky? After all, what is destiny?" And Jiang Ju is remembering what he had said to the prince earlier, and he had said, "Young master, could you let me calculate your destiny?" And when Jiang Ju is checking the prince's destiny, the system tells Jiang Ju, the host needs to consume 1,000 fate points to calculate the destiny. And after listening to the system, Jiang Ju thinks, "So many points, is this possible?" And the system starts telling Jiang Ju, in the 49th year of the Qin Yuan calendar, Queen Qin gave birth to a daughter named Saki. When Qin Xia was 8 years old, she understands poetry, books, writes and music, knows the 6 arts of a gentleman. Among princes and princesses, no one can match, and is close to the prince and brother. When Qin Xia was 12 years old, went in and out of the imperial study, and only dealt with state affairs. When Qin Xia was 14 years old, the emperor was dying. Qin Xia assisted the crown prince in overseeing the country, bestowed the title of Kingin, and was the first female prince of Qin state. During the period when Qin Xia was in charge of the country, he spoke outrightly and remonstrated, selected talents and appointed talents, and provided peace and prosperity to the people, and she's supported by the people. Qin Xia was 17 years old. The new Emperor Qin Wujun granted him the fief of Nanyang County. Qin Xia left Xianxia. Qin Xia is 23 years old. The demon concubine 15, a disaster for the country, on the way back to beheading, died. And after listening to all the things about the system, Jiang Ju gets into thinking for a while. Then he says to the prince, "Alas, to be honest, although young master has talent, if the young master stays here you'll be sentenced to death for treason or crime." And the prince, bowing his head, says, "I understand. And if I don't fight for justice and leave the state, this state and the people will suffer more trouble. I'm willing to die for the sake of the state's people, even if this is my destiny." And Jiang Ju gets surprised after listening to all the things said by the prince. Then the tiger is speaking to Jiang Ju, "Sir, isn't that person stupid, even though he already knows that he is going to die but still thinking about the safety of the people rather than saving his own life? This world is filled with many stupid people." So Jiang Ju says, he places righteousness above anything. Even if his own life is in danger, he still wants to protect people's. And Tiger says, "Sir, are you also a righteous person?" So Jiang Ju says, "I'm neither righteous nor evil, I'm just a simple person who acts by seeing things. Finally, we're here. It's such a nice place with beautiful mountains and water. We'll prepare for the divine fate ceremony right here. Then we see the prince, who is sitting very disappointed, because in a short while he is going to be killed at this place. And we see the king, who is sleeping. And tears are falling from the concubine's eyes. Then her servant asks the concubine why she is crying. But the concubine does not answer. Then she says to her servant, "Let's go to the execution ground. Did you find out the whereabouts of that fortune teller?" Then her servant says, "No, we weren't able to find out yet." Then they come out, and when they are coming out, they hear a lot of noise. Then the concubine asks, "Why is it so noisy here?" So the servant says, "Lots of people are gathered at the execution ground." Then we see a small monk, who is speaking to his master, "Master, good people in this world won't end well. Why do we practice virtue?" So his master tells him, "It's too early for you. You and I have a long way to go, so hurry up and do it." Then we see the citizens, who are protesting that the prince should not die, and they should be allowed to go from here. But the soldiers are telling the people, "Hey, don't make trouble here. Otherwise we will not be polite anymore." But the people are not listening to them. And seeing this, the concubine thinks, "Not good, let the emotions ferment and the citizens will riot." And the concubine shouts at the soldiers, "If they are not going to stop, guards, kill them all." Then we see that prince remembers what Jiang Ju had said to him, "Young master, you can silently recite We Tree in Du Tian Teksu if you ever face the problem that you can't solve on its own." And remembering all these things, the prince thinks, "Mr. Jiao, my one and only God, you know I am the most devout believer." And then a man is about to slit the prince's throat. But then we see Jiang Ju, who is doing rituals in his system to save the prince. And he is saying, "Looks like this is the right time." And the system says to Jiang Ju, for changing Qin Zhao's destiny, Qin Zhao needs to consume 100,000 merits to change his life. Qin Zhao's current merits, 74535. And Jiang Ju is thinking, Prince Saki has done his best for the state of Qin. He has accumulated a great deal of merit in his life. It's just not enough to change your life. And again the system says you can choose to consume 100,000 points of merit to change your life. Current merit, 101252. And then Jiang Ju clicks on yes. And the system is saying to Jiang Ju, you have consumed Qin Zhao's 74,535 points of merit. Your 25,465 points of merit have been consumed. You have successfully changed Qin Zhao's life. And then something starts happening at that place, and Tiger is also surprised to see this, because the destiny of Jiang Ju and Prince is getting connected together. And the Tiger is saying, the gentleman is obviously a monk of the human race, and he has no incense on his body. Why does he have a Shinto title? Is he really a god? And we see the citizens with tears in their eyes, and also a lot of anger, because the prince's throat has been slit. And the citizens are saying, Princeton. Even Princeton can't escape bad luck. The state of Qin is about to perish. Who will save this country? But then something starts happening at that place, and seeing this everyone gets very shocked, because Prince's body is flying in the air, and some angels have come to that place. And seeing this the concubine gets very surprised, and she is not able to understand what is going on. And how is this thing possible? And we see that Prince's body starts recovering again, which looks like a magic. And all the citizens are very happy with this, and they are saying, definitely is. God has heard our prayers and has finally rescued Prince Xiao. Thank you, God. Then the scene shifts to Jiang Ju, who is sitting on the tiger and going towards the country very fast. And he reaches that place very quickly, and seeing Jiang Ju everyone is very surprised, especially the concubine. And she is thinking looking at Jiang Ju, yes, it's definitely because of him. Then Jiang Ju says to all the citizens, people of the state of Qin / your general Cui has withdrawn from the battlefield of the state of Wei, leading 100,000 Qin troops back to Xianxia. If you also love this piece of land, please become my helping hand to overthrow tyranny. And the concubine is getting very angry looking at Jiang Ju, and she is thinking, this vile monster. Why didn't Xianxia come to help me? Could it be the meaning of Lord Demon Lord? What is going on? And after listening to Jiang Ju, everyone gets very motivated and they are saying, yes, we want to join the fight too. Down with the faint king. Get rid of the demon concubine. Revenge for I Princeton. Revenge for the loyal people of Qin. And seeing the rebellion, the servant is saying, no, the citizens rioted. And the concubine is saying, where's the inner guard? Go quickly call 5,000 inner guards to come over. But we see that all the citizens are attacking the soldiers together. And the concubine is telling her soldiers to kill them all. And they are doing the same. And a soldier is about to attack and kill a child. Jiang Ju sees this and tells his tiger to save the child. Jiang Ju's tiger attacks those soldiers and saves the child. It throws the soldiers far away, and seeing this the concubine gets even more angry and she starts shouting, don't be scared. And kill them all. And then Jiang Ju says, the general trend of the world, the long-term division must be combined, and the long-term unity must be divided. There is Su Xian. You controlled Qin Wujuan by giving the demonic pill, and killed Princeton to get rid of dissenters, so that you could take over Qin's fortune for yourself. But why don't you take a look and see who the people's hearts are for now? Where is the destiny of this country? And on hearing Jiang Ju's words, the destiny dragon of that country comes out and starts flying over the city. And he is looking at Jiang Ju. Then Jiang Ju starts using his power. And his power starts spreading in the whole country, due to which light starts spreading everywhere. And then we see that the king wakes up from his sleep, and he is thinking, who's calling me? And then the king starts running outside, and he has also taken his sword with him. And he comes out running and is a little surprised to see in front, and he is listening to what the citizens are saying, take down the king. Take down the demonic concubine. And after listening to the citizens, the king is asking Ifei, what's happening here? And the servant turns back and looks at the king, and she is surprised to see the king. Then she is telling the king, there's a man at spreading rumors and drying people up to riot. King, don't stay close to walls. And the king is looking at Jiang Ju. And when Jiang Ju looks at the king, he is thinking in his mind, red dragon body protection, so, he's Qin Wujuan. And we also see that the king has red dragon protection. And the king is speaking to Jiang Ju, a practitioner instead of practicing in the mountains, who dares to cause trouble in the affairs of the state. Who are you looking for? And Jiang Ju tells the king, I am a wandering fortune-teller master, practicing in the marketplace. When I first entered, the king was shocked after listening to Jiang Ju's words, and he was thinking, how did he know about the red dragon? Is it possible that Mr. Qin Saki's assertion's true? No, it's impossible. The red dragon still protects the Qin state. How will it fall? Do you really think I don't know anything about the fate of the country? At first I wanted to give you a break. These thieves. He really wants to die. Then the king says to Jiang Ju, you are also from the Qin Saki's group, right? I'm really interested to hear about the destiny of the Qin state and mine. And Jiang Ju grabs that thing, and the system says to Jiang Ju, it needs 100 W points destiny points to calculate the destiny of Qin Wujuan. Do you want to spend or not? And Jiang Ju is saying to the king, father eats son, son kills father, king kills minister, minister rebels against the king. If the state is not a state, the Qin dynasty will die. And the king is getting very angry after listening to Jiang Ju's words, and he is shouting at Jiang Ju. Jiang Ju dares to confuse the crowd with evil words. Take this demon down for this king. And as soon as all the soldiers listen to the king, they together move forward to attack Jiang Ju. But then we see that a very big snake comes to that place, which is protecting Jiang Ju, and seeing such a big snake, all the soldiers get very scared, and the king gets even more angry. And the king directly moves forward to attack that snake, seeing which the concubine is trying to stop the king. But the king is not listening to anyone, and he is shouting, I'm the king of Qin state, and once the country's destiny is protected. You little monster, dares to make rampant here. Then the king directly attacks that snake and cuts it into 2 pieces, due to which the snake dies. Then the king directly attacks Jiang Jue to kill him. And Jiang Ju is able to see that there is a red dragon behind the king, and seeing him Jiang Ju is thinking, is this the power of the red dragon body protector? But Jiang Ju catches the king's sword with his 2 fingers, and seeing this the king is very shocked, and he is thinking this. How can this be? How can he be able to catch my sword? And Jiang Ju tells the king, is this the emperor's sword full of the breath of a real dragon? And then Jiang Ju breaks the king's sword very easily, and pushes the king away. And seeing this, the concubine is very nervous for the king, and Jiang Ju is saying to the king, I have accepted half of the red dragon's merit, and half of the nation's fortune. As for you, Qi Wujuan, do you know what crime you committed? But the king is not able to understand anything Jiang Ju is saying, and he is asking Jiang Ju, What crime did I commit? So Jiang Ju takes out a talisman from his possession, and burns it, and says to the king, You don't know, then let me show you what crime you've done. And then there is a dangerous lightning from the sky, which is above the ground. And we see that a lot of souls are coming out from that ground, and Jiang Ju is saying to the king, See everyone what is going in the garden behind the palace. And seeing so many souls, the citizens are very surprised, and they are saying, So many dead souls. Is it possible that they are doing alchemy? And all the souls are saying to the king, King, give me my life back. But the king is not able to understand anything. Then Jiang Ju comes behind the king and says to the king, Did your majesty know these people? Definitely you don't know them. These people are citizens of Qin state. And now, the soul has become a pill, and only this some sallow remnants is left. The pill you swallowed was made by sacrificing thousands of people. Qin Wujuan, you still feel nothing. But the king says, If they are my people, why not use them for me? What is my offense? What's the crime? And hearing this from the king, Jiang Ju gets angry and Jiang Ju pushes the king. Then he says, The red dragon who came to my dream also gave me 2 things. One of them is the dragon's tail guillotine. Go lip to kill the faint king, and go down to cut down the evil spirits. Since you think you didn't do any crime, then why not go inside this guillotine for a break in your life? And after listening to Jiang Ju, the king gets a little nervous, and he says, What are you kidding me about? Why should I go inside this? And then the king feels something and he thinks, What's going on with my body? Why did it move on its own? And the king said to Jiang Ju, What did you do with my body? Stop it! And then seeing this, the concubine gets very tense. And she moves forward to attack Jiang Ju to save the Directo king. And Jiang Ju also notices this thing, and the concubine attacks Jiang Ju. But then we see a tiger, who gets angry at the concubine, and he is saying, Bold witch! Dare to interfere in Mr. Zhang's work. And the tiger is ready to attack the concubine, and he attacks the concubine with his fireball, due to which we can see that the concubine is burning, and seeing this king gets scared. And the concubine's condition becomes very bad, due to which her body starts burning. And seeing this thing all the citizens are shocked and they are saying, The body of the princess has become like jade. Is she really a demon? Then the concubine falls on the ground, and the tiger catches the concubine in his claws, and says to her, The fate of the country is not in your hands. Now you dare to act wild in front of me. And the concubine's condition becomes very bad, and the tiger is saying to Jiang Ju, Sir, please go ahead. This witch is handed over to me. And Jiang Ju shouts loudly, due to which the king gets pulled towards that thing. And seeing this thing, the concubine gets scared, and she frees herself from the tiger's claws, and jumps towards the king to save him. And we see that before the king gets hit, the concubine pushes the king away, and the concubine takes the attack of that thing on herself, due to which his condition starts getting worse, and his clothes start getting torn. And seeing this thing, Jiang Ju is thinking, Is it possible that you're really in love? Trying to fight it? And that thing falls on the concubine again, due to which she starts splitting into 2 parts. And seeing this thing, the king cannot believe his eyes. And we can also see that the concubine slowly starts splitting into pieces, and king starts going towards the concubine and catches her, and seeing her condition tears start falling from king's eyes, and the concubine is saying to king, Your Majesty doesn't want to look at me, the concubine's appearance must be very ugly. And seeing all these incidents, the citizens are saying, she really is a demon, no wonder the king is bewitched by him. Then Jiang Ju comes in front of both of them, and says to both of them, Su Xian, you are vainly trying to steal Qin Guiyun to overcome the catastrophe. You have already committed a heinous crime by killing innocent people of Qin, what more can I say? And the concubine is saying, my heavenly tribulation, if I don't steal a country's fortune, I can't fight against it. Perhaps I deserve death. However, I also want to know why I should. Such is destiny. And with this the concubine is killed at this place. And Jiang Ju gets a little shocked after hearing the concubine's words and he is thinking, it's destiny again. Then Jiang Ju starts leaving from this place, and Jiang Ju is saying to the tiger, let's go tiger. Now that the red dragon of national destiny is out of trouble, the rest, leave it to the people of Qin to decide. And Jiang Ju leaves from this place sitting on the tiger. After this the scene shifts, and we look towards a cave. And then at this place the eyes of the prince open, now she is looking exactly like a princess. Then she wakes up, and she is saying that I am still alive. I remember that I was still on the execution ground, praying to Mr. Where is this? My hair is messy. I can only deal with it like this first. And then Jiang Ju comes to that place and seeing Jiang Ju, the prince says, it really was you who saved me. I thought that phrase of yours was to comfort me, sir, this is. And Jiang Ju goes to the prince and says to him, you finally woke up. And Jiang Ju is looking at the prince with a lot of love, and seeing this prince becomes silent. And he is also looking at Jiang Ju with love. Then the prince lowered his head a little, and said to Jiang Ju, don't be joking, sir, how can I become king? But a woman. But Jiang Ju says, but public. Is this something to feel guilty about? It's a pity it's a woman, can I? Qin's fate is approaching, what will you do next? And the prince says, is Qin's fate approaching? Then I must go back to Xianxia city. Overcome the difficulties with the people of Qin, and Jiang Ju says to prince, that being the case, let it go. This is also the time to leave the state of Qin. The cave was the home of Mr. Boar's family. We've been bothering them for a long time. So the prince says, so that's it. I'm sorry. Excuse me. We're leaving right now. A moment later. Jiang Ju has made Prince sit on the boar, and he is speaking to Prince. I didn't think Mr. Boar would really agree to send King An back to Xianxia. That's very passionate hospitality. And Prince says, well, then, thank you, Mr. Boar. And Jiang Ju is speaking to Prince, the fate of the Qin Empire is near. If you want to make a difference in the future, we should not take Qin as our number, but Qianquan as our number. I was asked by a friend to take care of it. Now it will be gifted to His Excellency. And the prince looks at that thing and says, sir, that's Imperial Jade Seal. And Jiang Ju says, Mr. Boar will leave you next. Please send King An to General Chui's camp outside Xianxia city. Go and meet the generals outside Xianxia. And Jiang Ju has now said goodbye to the prince. But the prince has tears in his eyes, but he is also happy. And we see that the red dragon is with the prince. And Jiang Ju is happily saying goodbye to the prince, and is watching him leave. And Tiger is saying to Jiang Ju, parting is really sad. But you will not leave me. Right, Tiger? Then, it's time for us to hit the road. And Jiang Ju says to Tiger, From the perspective of the setting, you should be my mount. Are you riding with me now? It's not right, sir. And Tiger says to Jiang Ju, shut up. Hurry up and go. Don't forget Feng Jiannu, that crazy woman is still chasing us. Got it. See down, sir. And now Jiang Ju also goes on his way. 3 days ago. Outside the execution ground. And the little monk says to his master. And then we see that someone comes in front of the little monk and his master, and she is the servant of the nine-tailed demon fox. And her name is Yuyuan Qingyi. And on seeing Yuyuan Qingyi, the master stops and the master is saying to Yuyuan Qingyi, oh my pardon this old monk's hand, miss, are you alright? But Yuyuan Qingyi is not saying anything to that monk. Then she removes her mask and says, I've heard that the Lama of Linghong Temple is powerful in Buddhist knowledge, so his hands shouldn't be shaking, right? I think you must be hurrying to death. And seeing Yu Yuan Qingye's face, the monk understands that this is a demon. Then the monk is saying to Yu Yuan Qingye, no, I'm not interested in normal life affairs, but I must take care of the evil affairs. And the monk is ready to fight Yu Yuan Qingye, and he has taken out his weapon, and seeing this, Chota monk is saying, Master is the best. The demon's sister is sucked into your sleeve, and his master says, no, this time the ones we meet are no easy match. Anyway, let's get out of town. Don't get other people involved. After this the scene shifts. And we see Jiang Ju and Tiger, and Jiang Ju is sitting on Tiger and going very fast, and Tiger is saying to Jiang Ju, Sir, if you said that Feng Jian-nu was after you, why didn't she show up at the execution site? So Jiang Ju said to the Tiger, I don't know, go ask her. And Tiger is saying, honestly, I always want to ask one thing. How did you get into trouble with Feng Jian-nu? What? Is she very strong? Let's put it this way, Feng Jian-nu is also known as Xian Jun. I was still breastfeeding when she became famous. She later became the maid of the heavenly Demon Lord.Tu Shanlan. With such a powerful master behind her, Xian Jun is not to be trifled with. So Jiang Ju laughingly tells Tiger, actually, I have no grudge against her. But her master, she's got a grudge against me. But the Tiger gets very shocked when he looks in front. Then he comes back to his original form, and Jiang Ju falls on the ground, due to which he is saying to Tiger, why did you suddenly stop at such great speed? That's dangerous. And Tiger is saying to Jiang Ju, I think we should just commit suicide. Why didn't you mess with any other person but the scariest one in the world? And Tiger and Jiang Ju are fighting, and Jiang Ju is saying, help. This crazy cat wants to kill its owner. But the Tiger is saying, we're all in this together. You should have your honor even. And we see that someone comes to that place, and it is Yu Yuan Qingye, who has come after fighting with that monk, and she is also injured. And she is saying, looking at Jiang Ju, you make it so easy for me to find you. And when both of them see Yu Yuan Qingye, they get very scared. And looking at Yu Yuan Qingye, Jiang Ju is thinking, what the hell? Speak of the devil. Then Jiang Ju stands up and then the Tiger jumps and comes in front of Jiang Ju. And seeing this Jiang Ju is thinking, Shan Jun is usually a show-off, just like a prideful cat. I didn't expect him to stand up for me in such a dangerous time. Sorry Shan Jun, I blamed you. And the Tiger is saying, Xian Jun, the truth is that I and the one behind me just met by chance. The lender should find the right borrower. You shouldn't hurt the innocent one, Xian Jun. And Yu Yuan Qingye, while passing by Tiger says, alright. If you are not involved, then there is no need for you to live. But then the Tiger comes in his original form and attacks Yu Yuan Qingye. But Yu Yuan Qingye dodges Tiger's attack, and she is saying, are you being too naive? Tian Nanlings. Little kitty. And the Tiger tells Jiang Ju to run away from this place. And they are trying to run away from Yu Yuan Qingye very fast, and they run very fast. Tiger asks Jiang Ju, Sir, look back. Is that woman after us? And Jiang Ju looks back, but he does not see anyone, and he says to Tiger, no, maybe we have got away. But then the Tiger sees something in front of him which he stops very fast. And Jiang Ju asks Tiger, why did you stop so suddenly? I nearly fell. So the Tiger asks Jiang Ju to look ahead, and as soon as he looks ahead, he realizes that Yu Yuan Qingye has already come and stood in front of his way. And seeing this thing the Tiger says, Sir, if we surrender now, will she treat us better? So Jiang Ju says, I don't know if she'll treat us better, but given her personality, I'm still useful to her. At least my life will be safe for a while. And the Tiger says, then I'm useless to her, I'll be killed under her sword, right? Then Jiang Ju is saying, how can you say that? Our little Shan Jun is from a noble family. Your skin and bones are precious treasures. Who wouldn't like these fur, bones and skin? And the Tiger starts getting scared after listening to Jiang Ju. But then Yu Yuan Qingye says to both of them, enough talking now? If you're tired of running, just give up. If you still want to run, I'll gladly serve you well. And Jiang Ju says to Yuan Qingyi, I was able to escape even in the presence of the heavenly demon lord. Do you think you can catch me? So Yuan Qingyi says to Jiang Ju, we can try and see. And then Jiang Ju takes out a talisman from his pocket, and using it says, I'd be honored. 1,000 miles God walk. But we see that Jiang Ju's talisman has no effect, and seeing this Jiang Ju gets very nervous, and he is speaking nervously, God walk. This is a life-saving spell from the old dragon of Sun Moon Lake. How come it doesn't work? And then Yuan Qingyi takes out something from her pocket, and says to Jiang Ju, my master knew you had the spell from the dragon god of Sun and Moon Lake, so how could I not be prepared? This is the golden order from the dragon god. With this order, all the spells in your hand will lose their effect, so what do you have to rely on now? And seeing that thing, Jiang Ju starts crying, and he is saying, Oh old dragon, I really appreciate your help. But Jiang Ju is thinking, wait a minute. She just said that she forced the old dragon to do so. Even the dragon is no match for her. How strong is this woman? But then Jiang Ju laughingly says to Yuan Qingyi, I'm a traveler, so I have things to rely on. Sincerely invite the heavenly demon slaying god. And as soon as Yuan Qingyi hears this thing, she gets very shocked, and she is saying, God summon technique. Are you a disciple of the Shishao Palace? And Jiang Ju says to Yuan Qingyi, I stay for a few months, but I was kicked off the mountain. Cannot be called a disciple. And we see that a huge golden hand starts coming out from the sky, and seeing this thing Yuan Qingyi is saying, the disciples of the Shishao Palace specialize in summoning gods, but they mostly summon the 36 lesser gods. I've never heard of anyone who can summon a god from the 9 heavens. Jiang Ju, who are you? So Jiang Ju says to Yuan Qingyi, just a traveling fortune teller. But Yuan Qingyi is still not scared, and she is saying, Jiang Ju, you're really something. The old dragon of the Sun and Moon Lake regards you as his close friend, and the red dragon of Qin country regards you as its savior. The Shan Jun of Tian Nanling is willing to be your mount, and even the Lama of Linghong Temple helped you stop me. Now you can even summon the gods of the 9 heavens to help you. Unfortunately, your opponent is me, and Yuan Qingyi takes out a dangerous sword, seeing which Jiang Ju also gets a little scared. Then she sees that the golden hand is moving towards her, and Jiang Ju also points his hand towards Yuan Qingyi. But Yuan Qingyi now starts using her power, and a lot of energy is coming out of her sword, and she is saying, an orthodox god? Jiang Ju. Do you know the name of the sword in my hand? This sword is called, and Yuan Qingyi slashes that golden hand with her sword, due to which the golden hand gets cut into 2 pieces. Then Yuan Qingyi says this sword is not stained by the sins of killing, nor the karma of slaying opponents. Even though my hands are stained with blood, I am innocent. What can the orthodox gods do to me? Now you can't get away from me by any means, what else do you have? And Jiang Ju is surprised to hear Yuan Qingyi's words, and he is thinking, she's just a maid, how can she be so strong? But Jiang Ju says to Yuan Qingyi, well, of course there is a way out. That is, and then Jiang Ju is again trying to run away from Yuan Qingyi, and now Yuan Qingyi also starts chasing Jiang Ju. And then Jiang Ju uses one of his techniques, and he is saying, summon the heavenly wind god, heavenly walk god. And as soon as Jiang Ju performs that technique, the tiger starts running very fast. And seeing this, Yuan Qingyi is also very surprised that Jiang Ju is running so fast, and she is saying, what the hell? This damn Jiang Ju, he can still run. And while running, the tiger tells Jiang Ju, sir, where in the world can we find a way out? But Jiang Ju is thinking, Feng Jiannu's injuries seem to be the result of the old lama's doing. As long as we can stop her, we may still be saved. Then Jiang Ju tells Tiger, go to Linghong Temple. On the other side we see Linghong Temple. And the monk is injured, seeing his disciple crying. But the monk is saying to him, I'm just meditating, I'm not dead. And the little boy says, but master, you've lost a lot of blood. But the monk laughingly tells the little boy, it's okay, just cook an old chicken and I can replenish my blood. But the old monk is thinking, what a time to be making jokes. There's no such thing as an old chicken in a pure Buddhist land. And the old monk is saying, that day, Feng Jian-nu appeared in Xianyang City to look for someone. Coincidentally, I stopped Feng Jian-nu so that person could escape, whether it was done intentionally or by chance. My causal entanglement with this person has been determined. Let me see who is behind this thread of cause and effect. And the old monk takes out the golden thread from his hands, which starts going towards the sky while going out. And seeing this, the little boy is saying, Master! Master, this golden thread is connected to the sky. And we see that the golden thread starts going towards Jiang Ju, seeing whom the old monk is thinking, why are all the creatures in this world having causal entanglement with him? Is he a god of heaven? And seeing this, old monk's eyes remain wide open. And the little boy is saying to the old monk, Master, your eyes. But the old monk is still thinking, why didn't you come 1,000 years ago? It's a great opportunity. It's also a big problem. And the little boy is saying to the old monk, Master, please sit down. And old monk says to the little boy, Apprentice, your destiny with me as master and disciple is over today. And the little boy says, Master, you don't want me anymore? So the old monk says, Don't cry. Don't cry. You are destined to become a follower of Buddha King. I am old and can no longer protect you. Now your real teacher is outside the door. The time has come for us to end our destiny as master and disciple. And then the little boy says to the old monk for the last time, Amitabha. After this, the little boy goes towards the door and opens the door. And as soon as he goes out, someone says to that little boy, Hello, little master. And the little boy sees Jiang Ju in front of him. And Jiang Ju says to the little boy, My name is Jiang Ju. I want to meet the Lama of Linghong Temple. And then the little boy bends in front of Jiang Ju and says to him, It's an honor to meet you, my master. I'm your disciple Kala. But Jiang Ju gets surprised after listening to the words of the little boy, and says to him, What? What's this? What's your name, young master? And the little boy says to Jiang Ju, I'm Kazi Bey's disciple. My master wants me to be happy every day. So he gave me this name. I like it very much. And Jiang Ju, after listening to the words of the little boy, says, Kala, right? I used to like it too. No, why do you call me master? So the little boy said to Jiang Ju, The master said so. Master was wounded, he said my real master has come, his mission is finished. And listening to the little boy, Jiang Ju is saying, Actually, I'm here to take refuge. I suggest we go into the temple. And then the door of the temple closes. And seeing this, Jiang Ju is very surprising, and he is saying, What does this old monk mean? I haven't even solved my problem yet, and now he's giving me a new burden. Silly boy, take a look. What do you think this is, a rocking car? And Jiang Ju is lifting the little boy and making him sit on the tiger. Then the tiger is saying to Jiang Ju, Why did you lift this kid up? So Jiang Ju said to Tiger, There's no other way, he'd call me his master. Take the kid with us and run. Then the tiger asks Jiang Ju, Where are you going now? So Jiang Ju says to the tiger, To the southern border. I still have some friends there, they should be able to save our lives. And after listening to Jiang Ju, the tiger says, But the southern border is 1,000 miles away from here. Your 2 talismans won't hold up. After traveling for some time, Tiger now comes down, and seeing this, Jiang Ju asks Tiger, Why does Shanjun stop? And the tiger is saying, The talisman and my wind control spell are both exhausted. But up ahead is the Jinsha River. And Jiang Ju is saying, looking at the river, the Jinsha River is the boundary between land of the human and the demon. But that's not right, the south border is in the southwest, the 1,000 demon kingdom is in the southeast. How did we get here? Then the tiger says, It's all your fault, sir. You got addicted to fortune-telling on the way of escape, and I had to take a detour to the land of human to read people's fortunes. Going around and around is what made me go astray. What should we do now? Should we turn around? And Jiang Ju, thinking something, says, No, Jian is in hot pursuit behind us. If we bump into her, we'll probably end up in the 9 hells before we get to the southern border. Or should we just cross the river? And the little boy is very happy to see the Gold River, And when he starts going near the river, the tiger catches him and says to him, "Do you want to die? Even if we throw little Jiang Jue into the river, he'll die. I'm not sure I can cross the river by myself, but for sure I can't take you and little monk with me. You two can't block the Tian gang wind. However, this Xianxia river always has human and demon ferrymen. But beyond this boundary is the land of thousand demons. How dare you go to the land of thousand demons after offending the heavenly demon lord?" And Jiang Ju is saying, "Don't you know the truth of the darkness under the lamp? The most important thing is that there's a place for us to stay when we get to the land of thousand demons." And when Tiger looks ahead, he sees a boat, which is coming towards them. And seeing this, Jiang Ju starts calling the boatman. Then we see that the boat has come towards them. And Tiger says to Jiang Ju, "There is really no end to the road. Sir, let's get on the boat." And Jiang Ju is calling the boatman. And we see that a 9-tailed demon fox is coming from there. And she is speaking to Jiang Ju. It's really been a long time. And as soon as Jiang Ju sees Tu Shanlan, he gets very surprised. And Tu Shanlan is speaking to Jiang Ju, "My future husband." And Tiger gets very shocked seeing Tu Shanlan, and he is speaking nervously, Heavenly Demon Lord. Sir, come up quickly. Wheel." But then Tu Shanlan goes very fast and catches a tiger, and she says to the tiger, "In front of me? How dare you call yourself the same as me?" And Jiang Ju greets Tu Shanlan nervously and says to her, "My wife, what a coincidence." And Tu Shanlan says to Jiang Ju, "It's not a coincidence. I've come all the way here to wait for you. Let's get on the boat." So Jiang Ju says to Tu Shanlan, "Can I refuse? I've never done that before." And on hearing this from Jiang Ju, Tu Shanlan becomes serious, and in a serious look says to Jiang Ju, "What do you think, my dear husband?